Hello everyone and welcome to Demo 5A. As you can see, I have After Effects loaded up here. This is the first demo with After Effects, and it is an ambitious demo. But we're going to take this step by step, and this might take more than one day. Let's go ahead and jump in here. I have loaded up After Effects. What I would like you guys to do is first press New Composition. We're going to create a new composition. In After Effects, new compositions are kind of like multi-tracks, or kind of like sequences, but it's kind of like what a sequence looks like in animation. So we're going to name our first composition our name. So we'll go ahead and go through this here. And we've got, this is a Demo 5A. And we want to make sure that we've selected the preset HDTV 1080. That's what we were shooting at, and 24, which is the frames per second that we're shooting for our animation. Go ahead and click OK. Okay, let's take a second just to talk about these windows that we have up here. This window over here is our project window. Like you guys are used to seeing, our project files are going to all appear over here when we import them, and whenever we are pulling files to work from, those are all going to be found over here. This is our preview window, this black screen. So as we preview stuff, it's going to pop up here. Down here, this whole entire window is our composition window. So this is where we are going to make our animations. We're going to make all of our edits. Today, we're also going to be working with this area over here. This later on in the demo, this is where we find our effects and our presets. And this guy up here, this is our preview window. And the one difference in After Effects than in other programs is in order to play back audio and play back a rendering of the file that we're working with, you have to press this RAM preview button right here. So you can't just press spacebar. Also, this right here is our time ticker. I'm going to be referring to this time ticker later on when we start doing some keyframing. So let's go ahead and jump into it. First up, we are going to import, go up to File, Import, File. We're going to import the starting files for our demo. Make sure you guys are saving, when you download your files, save them to your appropriate folder. You should be creating new demo folders with every demo. So let's talk about these files that we have here. If I double click on them, you can see them as they show up here. So this guy right here, this is our face that we are going to be animating. This is audio clip. We created this composition, and then these are two picture clips that are the Lego faces. So let's look at those. So I'm going to click both of them, and I'm going to drag them down into my comp area here. Now you'll notice that it's really zoomed in, and I'm going to zoom out here. I'm going to press a couple of key commands. I just did Control minus right there, and so I zoomed out. Now this, as you can see, these pictures are huge. I'm going to do Control minus again, Control minus again. And one way that you can make pictures smaller is you can pull from the corner to shrink them down. So we've got picture on top and a picture on bottom. So these are the pictures that we are working with for our demo. Okay, so we're going to do something a little bit different than just working with these files. I'm actually going to re-import this file right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click it. I'm going to click the delete button. And I'm going to go back up to File, Import, File. And this time, when I bring in this standard face right here, I'm not going to import it as footage. I'm actually going to select this and import it as a composition retaining the layer sizes. Now when it imports, you can see I've got this folder here with all of the files that that was there before, but I also have it in a composition. So now when I double click this composition, down in the composition window, I have both the composition I created and also a standard face composition. Now this standard face composition has all of these different facial expressions that we are going to end up animating later on in this demo. So we've got to set up we got to set up this whole face, but they're all in pieces. We're going to put all the pieces together. Now, below this guide track, I've got all of these different tracks, and each one of these letters is a mouth shape. So what we're going to do is we're going to select all of these mouth shapes, starting with rest. I'm going to hold shift and then select WQ. And next I'm going to right click on all of this, and I'm going to click on pre-compose, and I'm going to label it mouth. Now I've got mouth as its own composition. When I double click that composition, you'll notice that now all of my mouth shapes. So it's kind of like a composition inside of a composition. And that's exactly what we want to think of it as. Now, if I'm to select all of it, I can toggle on. I want to toggle on all of these eyes. So I'm basically turning on everything that is these mouths. This is going to be a little bit confusing, especially because we're jumping right into animation. But just follow this along step by step. Okay. Next step, I'm going to do a key command here. Alt right bracket. And that alt right bracket takes all of what is the clips, you just saw them all over here, takes all the clips that are stretched out for 30 seconds and it cuts them all down to one frame. Next up, I'm going to go up to animation. I'm going to go to keyframe assistant, sequence layers. Make sure this isn't checked and click OK. Okay, now each one of those clips, and if I zoom in right here, each one of those clips is one frame long and they're not overlapping. So they're on their own frames. It's again really, really important. Now I'm going to go back to my standard face composition, which is found right here as my composition tab. I'm going to do the same thing I did for the mouth for the eyebrows and the eyes. Let's go down to the eyes first. So I've got eyes, it's closed eyes. Right click on these guys, pre-compose, name these eyes. Okay. Double click on the eyes composition, pull it up as its own comp window, and select all of these. Turn on all of the eyes. Hit Alt right bracket, and now I've cut it down to one clip. Go up to animation, keyframe assistant, sequence layers. Okay. Sweet. And we're going to do one more. Let's go back to our standard face. Select now the eyebrows. Right click. Pre-compose. You guys are getting the idea? Eyebrows. Hit OK. Double click on this. Select all of these guys. Turn them on. Alt right bracket. Animation. Keyframe assistant. Sequence layers. Okay, so let's talk about what we just did. We now have inside the standard face, we now have 3 compositions. This mouth composition is all of the mouth files. This eyebrows composition is all of the eyebrows files. And this eyes composition is all of the eyes files. We are going to be animating the face by turning on different frames in this composition, and this composition. Now we've got just 2 more things that we want to do to set all of this up. Or more than 2. Okay, so let's click on the standard face up here. The standard face composition in our files window is where all of these compositions are found inside of. This is kind of like the mother composition, if you will. I'm going to right click on this composition, and I'm going to hit composition settings. I need to change the size of this. This composition, unlike the one we started off with, this composition is actually not HDTV 1080p at 24 frames per second. But that's okay. It is at 24 frames per second. We don't want to change this to 1080p, but we do want to change the aspect ratio. Now you might have to uncheck this box right here, but I'm going to click this width, and I'm going to change it to 4000. I want to make it longer, and that's because I'm going to be using some effects later on that have to take advantage of, like, a longer file. Next up, I'm going to come down here, still inside of that standard face composition. I'm going to right click, hit new, solid. Now I can't see what's behind, or I can't see the face, so I'm going to create a solid color behind the face, which is why I right click down there. And we can just name it deep green solid. That totally works. And I want you guys to pick this color down here, navigate to a good green, then click OK, and click OK. And now it's popping up here. We're going to drag it down to the bottom. Now you can see there's my face, and we are going to do just a couple more things with this. So for each one of these compositions, we're going to right click on the composition, and we are going to select enable time remapping. We'll do that for each one. Time remapping is the powerful tool found in After Effects that allows you to keyframe animations happening at different times. Now you can see that I have these the same look of keyframing in Premiere that we did that we worked with in previous demos. We've got this diamond, which is the add keyframe. We've got the name, and we've got this yellow number. Now the yellow number is the keyframed value, and right now our cursor is at 0 seconds, and there's a keyframe at 0 seconds because we've enabled keyframing. The keyframe that we have at 0 seconds is actually not the type of keyframe that we want. There's different types of keyframes, and this keyframe changes. If I put another keyframe in front of it, it's going to blend between them. We don't want that. We actually want a hold keyframe. If we right click on this, we can go to toggle hold. We want to do this for each one. Toggle hold keyframe will allow you to change the keyframe, and it holds on that keyframe. So if I were to move along here and I wanted to change this value, say to this value right here, now when I play it, it holds between those two keyframes. Okay, we're going to do one more thing. We've got this file right here of our Don't Stop Believin' clip. I'm going to click it, I'm going to drag it down to here, and I'm going to press LL. When I press LL, you can see that file pop up. Now, we can't hear it if we play back with just spacebar like you guys are used to playing back stuff. We have to RAM preview, and RAM preview is found up here.
Just a small town girl living in a lonely world.
Cool. So it's just this first clip. Now this first clip, as short as it is actually going to take a little bit of time for us to animate. When we animate, we're going to be working in very, very fine increments. This up here is our work area. And the way the work area works is it's based on this RAM preview. If I want to start the RAM preview later on, then I move the gray area over, and now notice it starts a little bit later on. We're going to be using that. And if you're following along with the written instructions, we're going to be using this value right here to show us where we're at, and we're also going to be talking about the values of the time remapping. Now, remember what's inside of these compositions. Inside the mouth composition, there is all of those individual clips. We're looking at them right here. So I've got clip 1, clip 2, clip 3, clip 4, and they all correspond to their appropriate tracks. So track 13 has on frame 13 this shape. Track 10 has on frame 10 this shape. And they're all turned on. So what I'm going to do in the standard face window is I'm going to set the appropriate values to the mouth. And we're going to start just with the mouth. So when we listen back,
Yeah.
you hear him say just right here. When he says just, we need to pull up the appropriate mouth shape for just. And what we're going to do in order to do that is we're going to use a tool that I've actually helped to say or saved to the written instructions, kind of like a guide, if you will. I'm going to go ahead and toggle over to my internet browser. This is the guide. Notice that there are all these faces, and the mouth shapes, the numbers of them correspond to where they showed up on the tracks in our comp, and they also correspond to the values of keyframing or time remapping. So when we hit the J, the just, we need to get to the appropriate frame. So this frame number 7 right here. When I select frame 7, the way that I do that is I'm clicking and holding Control, and I'm moving all the way down to 7. When you click and hold Control, it allows you to make small increments. If you don't click and hold Control, then it's really hard to get this frame just right. So what I want you guys to do is go back and listen to this and make all of the appropriate keyframes. Now the appropriate keyframes all correspond to what I have up in the written instructions, which is right here. Notice there are 45 different keyframes. This number right here corresponds to the time remapping, which is right here and right here. So I actually had started with a different face shape. That face shape was actually on at 23 seconds. So let's navigate back to 23 seconds. Right here. And it looks like I had 5. So let's go ahead and put 5. So I kind of had a different, like a little, some teeth to show the beginning of the just. And then at 1:04, I've got frame number 2. 1:04, frame number 2. Nice. I like this J face better. And then at 1:09, I've got frame number 7. So let's navigate up to 1:09 and frame 7, like so. Now you guys are starting to get the picture. What I want you guys to do is go through all of these values, input all those values, their appropriate spot for the mouth. And I'm going to load up and skip to the next part in the video is going to have all the values put in. Again, each one of these keyframes should look like a box because we have selected the toggle hold keyframe, and they should all be at their appropriate spots in here. And if, as you're working, you could always play back right here.
Yes.
So now you can see the just, and you can also move this move work area over, because every time we start the RAM preview, it always is going to start at the beginning of the work area.
Yes.
Okay, so there you go.